Hi, folks. You were Tacitus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this audio live stream. In this essay, I would like to talk about one of the burning issues of the day, which is what seems like an unending and constant stream of drama coming out of Minneapolis. Both sides or all sides attempting to spin their narrative around it. So, if a violent street agitator protester assaults law enforcement, it ends badly and with injury or even death for that matter, then quickly they say, look at this, if only ICE wasn't here, this wouldn't happen. And the other side, or more sensible people, I should say, well, if that person didn't break the law, it wouldn't happen. Why are they on the street? Why? Oh, well, we have to oppose Hitler. And that's just the sort of the miasma of justification. But my concern is that there are a whole bunch of organisers and troublemakers on the street in Minneapolis who just don't seem to be getting arrested. Now, the FBI or the Justice Department generally, they're capable of, nuclear level responses to the most minor or misdemeanor level things. Someone's praying outside an abortion clinic, and a 12-person SWAT team with body armor and so on comes around to arrest some Christian guy in dramatic, with the media being tipped off and all this sort of thing. And they're using the law not only for purely political purposes, but just to intimidate private citizens. And that's not what the Justice Department was ever designed or meant for, but is routinely used for by the globo leftist Democrats. And you look at the effort that they went to track down people they even thought might or could have been even in Washington on January 6th, let alone had been anywhere near the Capitol, or maybe someone who just wandered in going, oh, I've never been here before, this is interesting, and just wandered around. Everybody who was even in the area was considered to be an insurrectionist being told what to do by Hitler. So now, they went to banks and credit card companies. Anyone in the area, did a credit card or a financial transaction, you have to tell us. And the banks again, yeah, okay, yeah, here you go. It's not even they didn't even sort of put up the slightest fight to say, hey, hold on a minute, this is private information. On top of that, they went to mobile phone companies to get any active phone signals in the area, and then chased, and then grandmothers, cancer chemotherapy in the wilds of Alaska were tracked down. But no expense was spared, and nor would they send someone out just to do an inquiry. Half a dozen FBI field agents would arrive, packing some serious fucking weaponry to go and arrest the granny and so on. So this was an overreaction on steroids, but they were determined no expense spared. All resources were put to it, even though it was a non-event. There was no insurrection, and there was nothing that happened that would warrant such a response for the very small number of people that may have, say, broken a window or something like that. Should they be arrested and charged? Well, of course, it's breaking the law. But for the people just wandering around, they got thrown in prison, put in solitary confinement for 12 months. This was how the Democrat globo leftists responded, because the population got some sections of the population got upset that the election was blatantly and brazenly rigged. And why wouldn't you be upset in a supposed democracy? But this is very different in Minneapolis. Now, I've been sort of surprised about how slow the arrests have been in coming, and why are people not getting arrested? Why are the arrests so few? Why do the arrests magically seem to appear in front of very, very sympathetic judges, sympathetic to the rioters, and they're let go with a slap on the wrist or nothing? Why are they being bailed with no bail and back on the street and doing the same thing the next day? So the very few arrests that are occurring, there doesn't appear to be any real effort by the prosecutors to make sure that they're actually getting in front of a federal court and a federal judge who's at least unsympathetic to rioting in the street. You think any judge would be, but no. And so it's just very sloppy, just not getting on. But the identification of the agitators and the troublemakers is something that surprised me. They're just a few days ago, there was I was watching some video of some agitators that were screaming into some video that somebody was doing, and then an hour or two later, I saw a video where the agitator was an agitator was saying that, but box this car in and put your car in front, organizing harassment of ICE and to obstruct their lawful duties. And I thought, hold on a minute, that face looks familiar. So you go back to it's the same person. So now if you turn up the volume, you can hear someone calling out this person's name, and some of them are quite particular names, and I'll just use a generic Shaniqua for this name, but thanks Shaniqua or something like that goes. So then you can go on to the internet and just put Minneapolis Shaniqua. So very basic search. I've got no facial ID recognition software or anything like that. So then look at that, and then up comes I don't know, 40 people say Shaniqua Minneapolis, and you can just go, that's her. Then you click onto that, and next I've identified that in just a few minutes. I've identified that person, and it's now called Shaniqua Smith or whatever. But that easy, that I don't have to go to phone companies, I don't have to go to banks, or I don't have to go anywhere. I can do that. Now it's not everybody or every agitator, but that's how easy it is if you just want to do it. And that's not my job to sit down and identify it. So I just did that accidentally as just I remembered that face. Now I've done that a few occasions again, just a rando thing. That face looks familiar. Hold on a minute, that they've got that that red beanie that's got that colouring on it, or that ensign or anything on it. I've seen that before. And then I can go back and find it. Sometimes I can't find it, but I know I've seen that before. And then it's not difficult to identify, well, not that hard to identify these ringleaders. Clearly, they're ringleaders, stirrers, and agitators. So if I can do it here in Sydney, Australia, just by effectively doodling on the internet, online here, then the highly trained FBI agents, they should be able to do it in seconds flat. And they've got vastly more resources and time and so on than I do. So why aren't they doing it? Is the question? Why if I can do it and do it easily and just on casual time put in, these people should be able to come up with hundreds of names of people, and they've got facial recognition software and so on. So they should be able to do that very easily and have lists of hundreds of people that they can arrest. Go to their house. They don't have to do it on the street. They've got the video evidence of the thing, so all they've got to do is go to this person's home address and quietly arrest them, and job done. Now, if you take out 100 or hundreds of agitators and organisers, remember these are the point people. These are the ones who are doing these ones that had the training, and they're doing they're key people, if you like, in the organising of and directing of these agitators, resources, street level resources. So if you take them out of the equation, then it's not that easy for the operational side of these street riots to continue. It'll at the very least it'll be severely disrupted. So again, it's not that hard to find, locate, identify, and thus arrest these people. So why isn't it being done? Why are these people appearing again and again on the street, doing the same agitation, not being arrested? Contrast this with not only in Australia but elsewhere, when the COVID lockdowns were on, and there were people, but usually self-employed business people, had businesses in the street, and their businesses were being closed down for weeks, sometimes months, and they were going broke, and they couldn't see the point of all this. There was supposedly some deadly epidemic, but it wasn't a deadly. They knew it was all bullshit. But they were being locked down anyway, and they were protesting, and there were military style, in fact, ex-military people were being hired and recruited goon squads in effect with military training to sort of hang around on the periphery of the protest, legitimate protest, hang around on the periphery of the protest, and then to spot ringleaders and use facial recognition software, all sorts of things. But the idea was to spot the ringleaders or the organizers, and to dart into the crowd quickly and arrest them drag them out before the crowd could react or put up some sort of an organized resistance. So you could see these people going around. There'd be a radio. Someone would say, "Okay, the guy in this coloured coat or that coloured hat or whatever it might be, in the middle of just 50 feet to your left and 2 points off center." And then they'd go and then they assemble, say 6 or 7 military style guys would assemble, the body armor and truncheons and electronic prods, all that sort of stuff. They'd assemble. And then they'd slowly start moving towards the edge of the crowd. Bang! They dart in, grab the guy, and pull him out quickly, and in the back of the van before the crowd had time to know what was going on or react. And so these squads operated all around these protests. Why don't we see the same thing going on in Minneapolis? We know. Why aren't they using it? Why aren't they darting in and arresting these key protesters? Bullhorn callers, and all that sort of. They could do it, but don't. Why not? Why are they taking a strangely passive view? Now, if you arrest these organisers with enough focus and purpose, then the street riots will automatically die down. The organisers are going to have, the funders are going to have to train new people and so on and so forth. But it's going to get harder and harder each time. What happened to the last guy who did this job? He got 5 years in prison. You know what? I don't think I really want to do this. And so it has provided it's being dealt with, again with gusto and focus. Then it'll just eventually wind down. It'll have a natural winding down trajectory. Nobody wants to go to prison for 5 years or go to a prison at all. Now the living on the street hobo might. It's not a bad deal. Hey, they get free medical, dental, and 3 meals a day, and those people might think, hey, that's not a bad gig. But for most people, they don't want to do that. They don't want to go to prison. They want punishments. They want heavy fines. They don't want huge community service type sentences and this sort of thing. But that's not being done. So there are lots and lots of tools and lots of means and methods, all legal, that could be used by the Department of Justice and the FBI and so on. Now, it's harder if the local police won't cooperate with you. I do understand that. But these are federal offences that are being committed against, ICE in this case. So there's no reason why federal authorities can't move in and do this. But they're not doing it. So many of the things they could do, which would be, of course, de-escalation, in the sense you're arresting the people who are causing the trouble, many things they could do, they're just not doing. And I don't know why. If I can do it, again, here in a lounge room in Sydney, Australia, I can identify these people. It must be a lot easier for authorities on the spot and on the ground in the area to do it, but they don't seem to be doing it. Or if they are doing it, they're deciding not to arrest these people. None of it makes any sense to me. You've been Tacitus today, your Pushback channel, and thank you for listening.